Alright, hello and welcome back to Computing Kids Java 1. My name is Cameron. Today we're going to take a look at how to move our actors with the keyboard. So far we've only had our actors moving sort of on their own independently without us being able to really control them. But since our goal here is to make a game that we can play, we definitely want some way to control our actors with the keyboard. So for this, we're going to make a new actor, hit new subclass over here. We'll call this actor player, and we'll give it some sprite. Let's say I'll give it this camel sprite, and there we go. And then we're going to head into our player's code. And what we have to know in order to move our player with the keyboard is we have to look at a new Java construct called an if statement. So I will write this out here. An if statement is basically a way for us to check whether something has happened, and if it has happened, to execute some code. So let me type this out here. If greenfoot.is key down, let's say right. That's for the right arrow key. This is what that's going to look like. So basically an if statement is made up of a few parts that we need to be aware of. First, we have the keyword if, that starts the if statement, and then we have these parentheses right here. Inside of these parentheses we put whatever we want to check. So this if statement asks the question, is Greenfoot, is the right arrow key pressed? If it is, then we're going to do whatever is in here. So if we press the right arrow key, we want our actor to move to the right. So we can say move, let's say 5, right there. So if we go over here and add our player to the world, like we did our elephant earlier in the class, say actor player equals new player, like so, super.add object player, let's put it at 300, 400, then we should be able to see our player here. So now if we hit run and we press the right arrow key, our player is going to move, because our if statement is checking whether the right arrow key is pressed down, and if it is, it's going to move 5. So another piece of code we're going to need to be aware of in order to make our full arrow key movement is a piece of code called set rotation. What set rotation does is it changes the angle that our player is facing, and I'll show you why that's important right now. So if we were to have another if statement, let's say for moving to the left, we can say if greenfoot.is key down left. Make sure to have another pair of brackets right here, and you should know that you've done it correctly because the Greenfoot editor will create this little pink box that will show where your if statement is. So we're going to say, let's try without set rotation and see what happens. So we'll say move 5, and let's hit reset again. So we're going to hit the right arrow key. There we go. All is working fine. Now we're going to hit the left arrow key. Oh, and we still move to the right. So we can see now that we need to change our rotation in order to have it pointed in the correct direction. So the rotation in Greenfoot is determined by degrees of a circle. So 0 degrees is pointing directly to the right. So if we want to go the opposite direction, we're going to need to point our player to 180 degrees. So now we can see if we press the right arrow key, we're going to the right. If we press the left arrow key, we're going to the left. So that is the basics of arrow key movement in Greenfoot. I have not created all of the arrow key movements, but the pattern is essentially the same as these ones.